I'm sure some of you know what an inverter is, maybe some don't. Basically, it's a power conversion unit. It's an inverter conducts DC to AC power. The batteries are DC power in an EV. You're going over to the motor AC power. In renewable energy, it converts the energy into AC power that flows to the grid. We're starting, that's our first product, is an inverter for the EV. Just to give you an idea, the global power inverter market is $95 billion by 2028. The EV market alone is estimated to be about $11.5 billion by 2027, with massive growth, about 23% year-on-year growth. Just got to get to the right screen. We're the first. We believe we're the first, and we believe it because people are talking to us, and no one else has been able to come up publicly and said it. We're the first to successfully deploy a zero voltage switching enabled power inverter into the automotive sector. It is a soft switching application. Right now, all inverters being used in the EV sector are hard switching. Hard switching has, they have trade-offs. There are costs that are involved with that. The soft switching has a higher frequency, eliminates switching losses, and controls, it has thermal management. So as your efficiency grows, you have less thermal problems that come along with the increase of power. Ours eliminates or has the thermal control in it. The switching losses in a hard switching inverter, I've been talking all day, a hard switching inverter, basically what that does, it creates, one of the things is electrical magnetic interference, EMI. And the EMI damages over a long term will damage the cars. So for instance, one of the OEMs that we're talking to and working with right now, as they've indicated to us, if we can reduce or eliminate, you won't fully eliminate, but reduce or eliminate the EMI, then they don't have to pay for protective shielding that goes across cables in their cars. And that's a cost savings, a weight savings, but more of a cost savings to them. And we have in laboratory tests shown them that our EMI is at or below the threshold they would need to use protective shielding. So the wide range of applications, the efficiency is 99.48%, I think we got up to. Improved reliability, performance, it's cost effective. Our cost of this inverter, while it's more effective than what exists out there, is equal to or slightly less than the inverters that the companies are currently buying today. And that's a very, very key point, because auto manufacturers are not prone to paying more, even if it's a better system. You've got to come in with cost effectiveness to them. The applications I've already talked about, were agnostic to the EV, went to EV because that's what the world understands, and it's on everyone's screen. EV traction, grid connected, EV chargers, energy storage, and stationary power systems. It's all about the team. Simply put, within 2 years, Ari's built a team around him and we've built a commercial team around us. I think that we can put up against any other company. Ari is a chief CTO, as we say, chief technology officer, has about 15 years taking commercial or concept of commercialization privately. Former CTO of Exro. Most people in the city know about Exro. He was a former CTO there. We were very lucky to have him come over and lead the charge here. With Ari's involvement, he brought our co-development partner, Harold Hengstenberger, who is the owner and founder of Systematic. It's a German power electronics design house. Their clients, when you look at their website, their clients, they develop hardware technology for the large German OEMs, as well as some of the global tier 1 suppliers, such as Bosch and Continental. Harold and his partner came from Continental and started Systematic in 2004 when Continental left Landsberg, Germany, and moved to Berlin. They had families there. They left, started their own company. Harold was part of the original group in Continental that was starting to move towards the EV technology. Dr. Burkhoff, he was 20 years senior with Daimler Mercedes, was part of the team that started the EV division in Mercedes. He's come on as an advisor with us. It's no secret that when you get people like this with the connections that they have, not only do they have ability and knowledge, but they have a Rolodex. If Dr. Burkhoff or Harold picks up the phone and calls one of the German OEMs, they're going to take that call. They might not be taking the call from Don Curry, simply put. So we put people around us that have serious connections. James, who I just introduced to you, Chief Commercialization Officer, 30 some years, isn't it, James? 30, 35 years in the industry, concept development to commercial success, owned your own company, recently just sold out of that and is full-time as our commercialization officer. And then James brought to the company as an advisor, Dan Coker, who we'll announce early next week. automotive executive. His claim to fame, and pretty impressive, is he's the company that developed the heaters that are in all your car seats. He is the person, his company, he built it into a $1.3 billion company. Any car that has a heated seat right now can be thanking Dan and his team for what they did. His connections and his ability to connect and open doors for us is second to none. The ZVS technology benefits. James, this is where I'm going to pass it on to you, and you can just run through the next 2 pages, please.
Sure. So when people think about an inverter, a lot of people don't really know what role it plays, and I'm just going to try to keep it in pretty simple terms. So let's call it the main core thing that this inversion technology does is it increases efficiency, and everybody kind of gets that. So think of that as sort of the core thing. With that, you can implement that in a system in a number of different ways. So the suite of benefits that you get, that a customer gets from it, can differ based on what their priorities are. So if people are worried, for example, about range in a vehicle, you can use that advantage to improve range. If you're more interested in reducing weight and size and footprint, you can use it to do that. So there are a number of different ways you can do it. And then there are secondary benefits like the EMI reduction that Don talked about earlier. That saves car manufacturers quite a bit of money on their bill of materials because they don't have to shield wires around it, for example. The other thing, it's a good example of a secondary thing, is that the ZVS actually does better in terms of benefits to the system at higher switching frequencies and higher voltages. So the industry right now wants to go to higher voltages and frequencies because it's good for them at the system level. Current technologies make it difficult to do that because losses increase at the higher frequencies and voltages. So this ZVS technology is ideally suited. I might even call it an enabler for people to do what they already know they need to do. And it will leave other technologies behind when it comes to that. So the actual motor efficiency gets improved by this thing. It gives designers broader degree of freedom for doing their system design because they don't have to worry about certain things they have to worry about with conventional today's standard types of inverters. So that's really quick, but that should give you the idea. So this is a graphic that just kind of shows some of those things. So you can put this thing in a traction motor and get more efficiency from the motor. You can use it to improve the size of your battery bank. You can, in some cases, when you use it in a certain way, it'll actually eliminate the need for an onboard charger in the vehicle. You see the EMI shielding thing there. So this just kind of shows you the benefits that people can have if that's a priority for them.
I'll take the next slide. Sure. Bottom line is, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, we're the only ones in the world that have got it to this stage of commercialization using zero voltage switching. And that's why we're getting we were trying to have outreach, but people have been coming to us now to start these development. If you take some of the OEMs that we're dealing with, a model run for them, they would make 80 to 100,000 of a certain model of car per year. If we can save, and we've demonstrated that we believe we can save them about $700 per car per year, that's $70 million on the run. Now they're spending anywhere from 1,000, maybe a little bit higher on the inverter. So if we can save them $70 million on a run, then that is massive to an OEM. That is something that they're very interested in. That's in addition to the benefits that the consumer gets, range, weight, so on and so forth. So there's a reason that the OEMs and tier ones are talking to us. Right. I talked earlier about the speed of which we've moved, and I think we can put ourselves up against any company in this. April 2021, the kickoff, and you see all the way through here, and you may have this deck, we'll provide it to you. When we announced, or we published 2 white papers in May of last year. Those white papers were well received. You had to register on our site to be able to get them. And it was interesting, the size and the number of companies that came looking for that. One of our directors is Michael Moskowitz. He was a former CEO and chairman of Panasonic North America. And Michael told us that people are watching us. We just don't know when or know who, but it'll become a time when they make themselves available. And that's when we really jumped. Got to the end of the year, end of 2022, and we had the commercial prototype in hand, and we're already doing development deals with 2 announced MOUs. And the next slide will show that we're actually working with 7. Our objective now is that we said we were going to do something. We have it in hand. We're working with companies. So this is a real kickoff year for us. Is we're doing something, not saying we're going to do something. We're actually doing something. We've talked about it, that this is agnostic to the use. We've got the SiC inverter, the car inverter here, 2022 prototype. The grid inverter is coming along. That'll be done this quarter. We're in the second quarter. Enhanced powertrain solution is what James was referring to. It's a special inverter system that will be able to eliminate the onboard charger in a car. Less cost for the manufacturer, less weight, and everything will go through our powertrain solution. And we'll move on in 2024 to multi-level inverters. That's the business plan as we speak. James, why don't you just take this commercialized engagement and go through it quickly for the people?
Sure. This chart, we don't need to go through every box, but what this shows is that we have a group of selected customers that we're pretty highly engaged with, and this is just that. So we have a funnel full of other prospects and people we're talking to, but this group represents the people that we're, I would say, highly engaged with. So what we're doing this year, this is a summary of what we're doing. So there's a bench pre-testing that we've already done. So that one's completed. That was to be done basically in, by April, which we did do. And that was to set us up so we could basically show people that we can do what we say we're going to do, at least not in a scaled way yet, but functionally it's there. We can control it. We can demonstrate the functionality. We can demonstrate the impact of it. The next step is to do a full, much more highly loaded bench test. That's what we're doing right now as we speak. And that'll be done, in reality, we'll be done that by the end of April, in all likelihood. So that will be a fully loaded, well, not quite fully loaded, but up to the capacity of the motor anyway, and our loading, to demonstrate the system scaled up. And then we'll move from there to customer sites. And the customer site ones, a couple of them are already planned, and some of them we expect to be doing. So there's a mix there. And then following that, we'll actually do in-car demos. So there's a set of work that has to be done to get to each of those stages. But the most important thing is we've got a really good, strong, detailed plan to get there. And at the top, it says negotiate commercial supply agreements. So it's going to be around the time that we're doing those bench tests at the customer sites that we're going to start negotiating commercial agreements. So that's when things really start to show up. So we're on the verge of doing that. Our progress so far has been really good. Ari's team has been solving some problems that we're pretty sure other people have not been able to solve. And we've been consistently doing that at a pretty good pace. So there's I think a pretty good level right now. What we're doing is not really technology development anymore. It's more into application development, scaling, working out interfaces, control issues, those kinds of things. So this kind of lays out what the development program looks like for most of the rest of this year.
Yeah, James mentioned it, but it's really important. We've publicly announced it, to have a European OEM provide motors to us to integrate our technologies. Basically, they skipped a step. They just said, show us it works. Here you go. Yeah. We have other motors coming from other people, and we're aligned, and we know where we're going with the testing. So I think the market is validating that we are the only ones that claim to have what we say we have. The ramp up here will be, we're pre-revenue. Ramp up is going to, or revenue is going to start in 2024. There'll be some minor revenue in 2023, some deposits, so on and so forth. It ramps up substantially, and we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in expected revenues, commercial revenues in or around 25, 26. This does not include, these numbers don't include the grid. We're only talking about EV here right now, and we're in the process of finishing off some fairly extensive budget numbers and projections for some investment banks we're dealing with in the United States. So this is something that we feel fairly comfortable upon the work being completed and the testing being completed. We're in the queue, and it just ramps up very, very quickly. Delivering results, this is what you guys want to hear about. You know, we have a revolutionary platform. No one else has it. We have the team. The team, it's second to none. We have the plan. Sustainable competitive advantage, the zero voltage switching is something that the world is wanting to. We've got a strong pipeline of global development partners. Global is the key. We're looking around the world, and we have a strong pipeline for that. And commercial revenues, as I mentioned, by 2024, profitability by 2026. So it's a company where we're poised. We're at the start. We're getting noticed. And we're looking for, and Jerry's been great. We were introduced to Jerry about a month and a half ago. And through Jerry, kind of getting reintroduced to some brokers that I knew in the area. We haven't done much here in Vancouver over the last little bit, but it's a company worth following, a company hopefully you want to get involved with, and we can answer any questions from here.